Welcome back, everybody. And as you can tell, we're not building a bench today. Nowhere near it. However, what we are doing is processing wood, and I wanted to do um, a review on a few of my go-to tools. I heat with only a wood stove in the wintertime, so it's pretty paramount that I get enough wood for the winter. So a few of the tools that I use, and I kind of wanted to review a few of them, uh, the tools and things that I use, kind of give you my thoughts, impressions, or whatever of them. First thing, bugs. I was turned on to these by Cody from Wrangler Star. If you can't tell, I follow his channel, and these work out great. There is another option out there. Hold on. I cannot remember where I got them, but if you're going to go, I don't suggest using these with earmuffs, but if you're going to wear hearing protection like earplugs, these work great. They're a whole lot less cumbersome and whatever than these, but yeah, they work great. They are. I was looking for a name, and I don't see anything on them, but look up wire mesh safety glasses instead of goggles, and you'll find something. You'll find these kind of things. And it's got a medium mesh on it. Not bad. Not a bad option if you're trying to not carry your good hearing protection, which is what I'll go over next. But these bugs are great. They have an adjustable strap on them, and this is my second pair. I went to go process some wood at a different at a lady's house because I get all my wood for free. So I went to go process some wood at her house, and I did one of the dumbest mistakes I think I've ever made. I get done processing everything, and I set my hearing protection and my goggles on the tire of my truck. Yeah. So when I pulled out of there, squish. All of it went squish. The only thing I really could save off of the Bugs goggles were the band. I guess they're still savable, but not really. So I just got another pair. Second thing I wanted to go over, which I also destroyed in the in the truck running over incident. So I had to get a different pair, another pair. But I liked them so much I got the same ones, and that's these Impact Sport earmuffs. They're great. I wear the Bugs because they, they're slimline here, so they don't mess with how the earmuffs actually seat on your ear. So that's good. And one of the greatest features about this is that, and I'll use these when I hear something in the woods and I can't quite pick out where it is. I'll throw these on, and you flick them on, and you can hear everything for like a mile away. I mean, you can hear all the little rodents and small game running around. You can hear birds everywhere. It's amazing. But they do have a little bit of squelching that happens from time to time. I think it really depends on how close you are to other electronics and stuff like that. But another cool feature that they have, well, they are adjustable and they fold in quite nicely. This is also what I use when I go shooting. So they fit nicely into my shooting bag and everything like that. But and they are adjustable. You can just kind of, if you got a big old head or something. But the other thing I like about these is the fact that you can plug them in to your phone or your iPod or whatever you use, and bam, you got instant tunes. So, and they still, it's with the tunes, it lets you listen to the music while you run, say, a chainsaw, and it also still amplifies everything else around you except for the really loud saw. So, or impacts of, say, if you're driving wedges or something like that. So yeah, so these, awesome, gotta have them. Of course, I also use regular earplugs. So something you can't really see, maybe you can now. Chainsaw chaps. So chainsaw chaps are, in my book, a must when you're processing like this. When you're cross-cutting, when you're cutting firewood, things of that nature. Maybe it's not so much when you're milling your lumber if you run a chainsaw mill, but yeah, definitely when you're doing a large amount of wood like I'm getting ready to do, yeah, it's kind of necessary in my book because I kind of like my legs, and I don't want to lose them. So yeah, chainsaw chaps. And what they do, these are the Steel Pro Mark, and so they have a little zipper here. You can keep stuff in there. I don't really ever keep anything in there, but in the back they just, you have one buckle up here, and you have 3 buckles per leg. And they just cover the front of your leg. And what they do is inside, they have little tiny fibers inside, which will gum and gum up the chain and make it stop. And you know, it'll basically bind up the chain where it wraps around your sprocket. So it stops the chainsaw from cutting your leg off. Pretty cool. Yeah. And one of my favorites, and I use this even when I'm out here doing this, because you still have like branches and stuff or weeds or whatever you want to get off of your, not really weeds, but anything you want to get off of your tree or your wood, whatever you're trying to do. An axe, right? So this is my baby. This is a Grand Forest Brooks small forest axe. Need to sharpen it. I put a little edge on it yesterday, so it'll kind of gave it a quick field edge yesterday. That's about all it needs, but it'll probably be due for a good sharpening soon. But Grand Forest Brooks, in my opinion, I've had this axe for a couple of years now, and it's amazing. I love it. I have one of their, I have also one of their American felling axes. I think it's a 35-inch, something like that. They're a Swedish company that makes, well, in my opinion, hands down the best axes out there. The steel, the edge, it holds an edge really, really well. The handles are about as close to perfection as you can get. I usually take a file because they're like really sharp right here, and I haven't done it quite so much on this one because I don't get up on it, but I have a carving axe, a Grand Forest Brooks carving axe as well. And you know, a carving axe, you're choked up on it a lot doing small work and whatnot. So I just took a little file and some sandpaper and kind of rounded off that edge right there, not all the way up to to the eye, but pretty close. And yeah, so you might want to do that. And obviously keep it covered in some BLO, and you should be good to go. Well, I'll take you over here. I don't know if the lighting's going to be working with us or what, but so obviously you got to have a good pair of gloves. These aren't the greatest. They're not really the ones that I prefer to use, but they're what's available right now. This saw is my workhorse when it comes to any kind of general saw work. It's a Stihl 029 Super. Can't remember the exact CC, but I imagine it's. No, I'm not even gonna guess. Anyway, because they changed throughout the years and whatnot, but this has been my go-to saw. It's got a 24-inch bar on it, and yeah, it's my workhorse. I'm getting ready to purchase, because I just purchased an Alaskan chainsaw mill, Granberg, and as you can probably imagine, not only do you need a larger bar for a larger tree if you're going to mill up your own timbers, but you also want a dedicated, or I do, because I don't want to keep having to keep switching out the bar and chain for this guy to a ripping chain, which is what you would need for milling. So I'm getting ready to make a purchase of a larger saw. I have it narrowed down, but I actually have a guy, I'm waiting for an email from a guy who's selling an old 660, Stihl 660. So I want to say right around 91 cc's, which is plenty enough to handle a 36-inch bar and do my milling without struggling at all. So yeah. Also, just a couple of the wedges, different kind of wedges I use. So it's got a little bit different kind of. I need to sharpen that guy, and this one too. And these are all kind of new acquisitions. Obviously, this one's not. But if I have a smaller piece that I want to quarter, I'll use this guy. He's the widest that I have. So if I need a little bit more width on the wedge, I'll go to this guy. Works out pretty good. And it doesn't really, you would think that it would quarter it, but because this is here, acts more of a wedge, and then this kind of not scores it, but follows the crack you want to get. And yeah, so this is just a quickie on there. Obviously, you got to have your chainsaw wrench. We always keep this because you never know, like you got to blow out the oil ports or clean out whenever you're doing work and maintenance or whatever on the saw. Obviously, a chainsaw stump or chainsaw stump vise. You just drive that into the stump and clamp it onto the bar, and you can rotate your chain and sharpen it in the field. This is for adjusting certain stuff on there that the screwdriver on here is too big for. Of course, just a little nylon wire brush, and inside here got my sharpening kit. I keep a Sharpie in here just for marking the first tooth that I do, and then you just got different tools. This comes in still sells a convenient little kit for making sure that everything is good in order, and in order for all your sharpening needs. Field sharpening, anyway. If you sharpen by hand like I do, I don't have one of those fancy grinders or anything like that. So that's what I use for sharpening. This, I haven't run yet, but I already just greased it. You have two ports, one right here and one on the other side at the top. Because whenever you sharpen your chainsaw, you want to make sure that you flip your bar. So I always mark which way. Well, there's still an arrow left from the last time, but use that Sharpie too to mark your bar, so you know which way you have to flip it once you pull it off and everything. But this is simply a little mini grease gun. You stick it in there when it's sitting on the side. You stick it in there and you pump it. Pump it until it starts squeezing out. You've got at the end here, you have a little sprocket that you want to keep lubricated real well. So that pretty much concludes my kit. And I know I need to get a little bit better, more permanent storage container for all this stuff. I just kind of threw it in here when I went to go get some other wood one day. And of course a rag and a wire brush. Something else that's good to have is a guard for when you store it. I'm not going to put it on. These things are kind of tricky to work with, but this is a Feller's guard. And yeah. Oh, one other thing. They didn't sell them for the longest time, so I did. This is a new thing for me. I looked for them forever and couldn't find one. But now they sell them at my local Ace Hardware. So I picked one of these guys up, and it's of course it kind of stinks that it has these smart pour spouts on them, but it is what it is. I'll probably end up ripping those things off if I can without ruining the features of the, without ruining the spouts and whatnot. But this holds your bar oil, and this holds your premix or your fuel mix. So that's a nice thing to have. Yeah. So that's about it when it comes to oh, and you need a tape measure. Something that you might not think about if you're processing wood. And I haven't been processing wood my whole life. I grew up, my parents always had heat and everything like that in the house, so this is all kind of new to me, but this is the way I want to live. So that's how I live. But you need to measure the inside of your box, both depth into your box, into your stove or fireplace, and also side to side, depending on how you're going to put your wood in there. I put my wood in both ways, depending on how I want it to burn or what I'm doing. So I got to make sure that when I cut my wood, I don't cut it too long. I can't put an 18-inch long log into say a 15 or 16-inch long stove. So tape measure. Yeah, and that's about it. I think I might shoot a little video, get a little bit of footage of sawing everything up, but I don't know, we'll see. It's kind of boring. I'll do it for myself. I don't know whether I'm going to post it or not. Let me know if you wanted, if you want to see it. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't turn into a blooper or an accident. Don't let this happen to you. But anyway, friends and family, I love you. Everybody else, I will see you on the next video.